are Confessional Magazine. I am Taywell, and this is More to the Story, brought to you today by Iris and Bo, whose toner helps keep my laugh lines in check, because you never know what our guests are going to say. Visit irisandbo.com today and use code CONFESSIONAL for 20% off. So much love in this heart of mine. Or Derek Brad Photography, and he is an amazing photographer that's done tons of concert photography. He does other projects that he has coming up, and we're so excited to chat with him today. Thank you for being here, Derek.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So how did you get your start in photography?
I would say that when I was working for FedEx at one point, I used to, when I was delivering, I always stopped at a camera shop, and one day he made me a deal. I was always looking at cameras. I was looking at different brands, and then he just gave me one for a really good price and a lens. And so I just started taking pictures after work every day. I would work from like 7 in the morning and 7 at night, and then I would go out and like shoot at nighttime. And a lot of times I would go in and like pay at like bars to see a musician, like $5, $10, $15. Like I would go to all small places and just shoot in dark places you couldn't even see. So, and the cameras, the best camera back then, the ISO, I went to 1600, which is like crazy. Like, yeah, it's not. If you can shoot on that in the dark, you can shoot on anything. Right?
So that was a good way to get your foot in the practicing world, if you could do that.
Yeah, and in the summertime, when I was working, we'd have longer breaks. Like sometimes it would be several hours that we wouldn't deliver because it wouldn't be as busy. And then we'd have to go on the night pickups. I was going to, on my route, there was bookstores like Barnes and Nobles and Borders.
Yeah.
I would stop at one of those and read about photography or read photography magazines. I would even like ones that I really liked, I would like hide in the bookstore, so then they would be there the next day. And I was just like reading tons. So that was kind of my schooling, I guess, because I didn't go to school. I just kind of was learning. So by day I would do that. And then after work, I would go out and shoot, try and post them, probably on like Flickr or something. And then go to work in like a couple hours. I was just always out doing it.
Always working, always pushing, always working on your craft. So what would you say was your like first like, wow, I did this shot at this concert. Holy cow, I'm good at this. Let's run with it.
Looking back, I guess I could have, I don't know if I was good at it, but no, I guess, it was one night I remember I photographed, and it was a small place, but it was, oh my God, like, what was the night was the biggest one where it was Raphael Sadiq. So he's from Tony, but he was like by himself. And so I remember I got home and I saw one of the pictures and I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. But I mean, I've already shot like lots of performances and small. He did one in front of a couple hundred people in Philadelphia. And there was just a photo that I'm like, this is what I'm going to do, you know? Like,
yeah.
It just felt it. And then I was like going out even more. Like I was getting into it even more and more. Like I couldn't stop. Yeah, it was more like an addiction maybe than like.
Yeah, you got to chase that high for the next good shot, right?
Yeah, I just enjoyed it, like going and watching these performances and yeah.
So if there was a musician that you could pick out of anyone ever, living or past, that if you could photograph them, who would you choose?
Okay, maybe this is a little easier than I thought. All right. It would definitely have to be probably David Bowie. Probably.
Yes. Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah. That would have to be. Yeah. Actually, that was another. There was like one of my where on South Street in Philadelphia, the TLA. There used to be a photo that was hanging on the wall. It wasn't even the greatest photo ever, but I really liked it because I wanted to picture myself there. It was David Bowie at the Tower Theater, he was singing with boxing gloves on. That was actually It also helped. Like when I saw that one, they were, I gotta do this, you know?
Yeah, you're like, that's art. You can, this is really, and it is. Photography is art, and not everybody that picks up a camera is a photographer.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all are photographers, right? We got phones now. We didn't even
Yeah.
do that back then. We didn't even- Actually, the first digital camera I ever had, I think it was 6 megapixels, and it was the greatest one at the time. Like that now your phone is better than I still have that somewhere sitting. I can't ever use it though. Like I think the battery blew up in it or something. But it's 6 megapixels. That was the best at the time. Like there was nothing. And everybody, it would be like some of the older guys I would like stumble on out there. They would always say digital will never be film. I mean, they're right, but it's still like they never thought it would be, you would be able to print out a good digital picture. They would tell me that all the time. They would
Yeah.
say me all the time because they would, most of them when I started were still shooting film, and I started with digital. Now I've done film even when I was a young kid. I did film, and then I didn't shoot for a long time, and but so I know the process of film and all, but
and it totally is a different process because then you have like the black room and all of that stuff that goes into like changing it. It's, I mean, the photography world has changed without the black room, right? Or the dark room, whatever it's called.
It was the speed of things that was helping me get magazine jobs at the time when magazines I was getting, and they were just starting to do online, and I was going out, I would shoot, I would go home, you know, look through them real quick, maybe do some quick edits or whatever. I always tried to not take too much time on that, try and get it in camera. And I would just send it out, take basically a nap, and then go to work again, you know?
Yeah.
But I was getting them out, and they would be like on their online sites when they were
right.
using this for the magazine, because they already saw it way before these other people are giving them stuff.
Exactly. So that's good on you. That's way to be like an entrepreneur and to get your work out there. So what was your first publication?
Oh, geez. I don't even know. What was the first publication that I was in? I don't even remember. I was in a lot of foreign ones when I started because they were accepting me to come shoot metal bands were like, so it over in like Europe, metal is huge, right?
Yeah.
And I would like post photos of some of these metal bands because and they would always be welcoming back then. They were like really welcoming. And they're like, how are you getting so close to these bands? They're playing at like, you know, million people in front of festivals all the time. We can't even talk to these bands, and you're getting pictures with them. So yeah, I would just reach out. I was just reaching out. Like I would just look at the schedule, who's coming, reach out, and metal bands almost were always saying yes at the time. And so I do remember the first biggest one, like when I got one in Rolling Stone, I was pretty happy.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about that. What was that phone call like? Or did you just see it? Did they find your picture and post it?
Okay. So, man, this is kind of a long story, I guess.
We're good.
So I had a meeting with Rolling Stone and back with like a portfolio review. Like I finally got one. I was writing them all the time. Once a month, I would just write everybody like in the magazine. They would have their emails that like all of them, everybody that worked there, I guess the main ones, but it would be like 10, 15. And I would just email them, nothing, no responses. But still once a month, I was always emailing them, asking to shoot.
Good for you.
And so I was staying on that. And then there was these portfolio reviews at a photographer event in New York. Photo Plus or whatever. And me and my friend went one year, and then they did portfolio reviews a couple of years. And I did it one year. And then you pay and you pick people who represent some magazines or whatever, different outlets, right? Getty and stuff like that. So I met 5 people, and Rolling Stone was one of them. And I remember him looking through my portfolio. He's like, have you ever reached out to me before? I'm like, yes, like he's like the main guy. And I'm like, yeah, for like years, you know, for years. I've been over you for years. And he's like, oh, all right. And then we talked. We even got coffee afterwards. he said, well, just keep in touch because I might need stuff in the Philly area. Or I was telling him I'm real close to New York, you know.
Yeah.
So I was still writing him. After I met him, I wrote him a month later, and I just kept writing him now. Still nothing, right? Nothing. And then there was the time, it was in February. So The Darkness came, the band The Darkness came.
Yes.
They,
I believe in a thing
I was
called
working
love.
at I was shooting for the Trocadero at the time in Philadelphia, and I was the house photographer there. And they came through, and that's when the manager of the venue came up to me and said, hey, he's gonna go around after at the last song, on the top of his shoulders, they want pictures of it. Can you get somewhere to make sure you get pictures of him playing his guitar in the crowd?
Yeah.
His security shoulders. And I'm like, sure. I was like, oh, I'll just go in the balcony and get it. Well, I get it, right? And then he jumps on stage. Then he jumps up into the balcony. He climbs the speakers on the balcony. And a lot of people that worked for the Trocadero were sitting in that section right there. And he puts out his arms, and I'm like, oh man, I hope you jump. Like, come on, jump. Like, I'm like, I hope you jump. I gotta be ready. And cameras were slower back then. You can't just flutter off like 10,
Right.
15 shots. I think I got 3 shots. So we actually did jump down, and I got 3 shots. One of them with his arms out, and then one halfway, and then one where he lands. He goes face down. Like, no, everybody turns their back, but he goes face down. But the one in the middle, so I sent them those 3 pictures.
Yeah.
Stone, that guy. And the next morning, like, I think I did it that night. I sent him. The next morning, I remember I can't remember where I was, probably still in work at that time, like FedEx, probably. And all of a sudden I was getting all these, he reshared it with every Rolling Stone in the world. So, and then they all just started paying separately. And back then they would pay me, I mean, it wasn't much. They're the least paying. They out of the major magazines, they were the least paying. But they would get, back then, there was an online team and a print team. So they would both pay separately. And then Australia's version would pay separately, Mexico's version. And a couple weeks, that's what I was getting. Like, and then I was like, I can do this for good, you know?
Yeah.
And then later, that it was at the end, that was like in the beginning of the year. And then at the end of the summer that's when I was like, I can do this full time. Because back then I was getting paid a couple times from each magazine. Bands would pay me to come out. You know, that was when money started coming. But it took me years to get to that. I was doing everything. I was paying to go shoot people.
Yeah. I mean, but good for you for like sticking with it, because that's what it takes really to like persistence, right? Persistence got you here. And
it wasn't even like I was thinking I was gonna do it, but then once I got the idea this is what I'm gonna do, then you really don't like your day job anymore. You didn't like it before. You really, and there's nothing against it. I like moving all the time and delivering to people, seeing people all the time, but it's still like you're just like
that it opens,
because now I'm like, I don't want to be doing this, I want to be doing that. Like it took the lid off of like what you as a person can be doing outside of a 9-to-5. It's like it's amazing when people find that like realization in themselves too, because then it's like you realize like it is limitless. You can do what you're wanting to do, and that's so cool that you've been able to do that. So I know you've shot Lady Gaga, who is your print of the week this week. I just started.
What was that like? Where was that show at?
Oh, they were at Wells Fargo, they were pretty cool moments when she was like up close. And back then, like there wasn't even photographers there. There was like, but I saw her. Who is that guy now? He has a bad name, but he made a book, and I saw him. Terry Richardson. Okay. Yeah, so he was like her photographer on tour. He only came out, I thought it was like some fashion guy. He came out, took pictures. Pictures still weren't a thing back then. Even back 2010, was still not a huge, because phones, I'm pretty sure we still have flip phones, right? Yeah. No one's really maybe take a snap of one, but then
download it and then upload it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
cool.
want to know about this. You have your musician photography project going on. Can you tell me about that?
I don't even know how long have I been doing that now. Probably 8 years. So I remember this idea got in my mind probably when I was like laying down or something, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Where I wanted to video people, musicians in silent. So it's a 2-minute video with no sound, and they can do whatever they want. The musicians are able to do whatever they want. And my idea was to have like each one like in a gallery setting, instead of just a picture of somebody. It would be every artist has a video screen, and it's on a 2-minute loop, and it's on it. So they're moving portraits of musicians. That's why there's no sound. So you walk into a room and you watch. So look, those if you watch 2 minutes of somebody, that's longer than most people look at paintings when I'm in galleries. So
Yeah,
you could get somebody's attention. Like, what are they going to do? They might not even do anything at all, because and they're even interesting too, because you're like watching. There's some of them have done nothing almost the whole thing, and then do something the last second. So and every one has been different. Yeah.
That is such a cool idea, to like take the music away from the musician and leave them a blank slate to see like the musician without sound. What a cool idea. I love that.
Some of them still can't deal without the no sound, that they'll pick up a guitar or something like that. Yeah. Like they'll still have to do something. Or one of them, like there is one, they know it and they'll talk. So the number one thing I get on the videos is, there's no sound, you messed up, or something like that. Yeah.
You're like, no, this was intentional.
Agreed, a little bit.
So what?
Interesting. So I just wanted to do that because I was getting thrown in a lot. Like if I was getting shoots, even for magazines or something, and it would be like before a performance, which was very common. I would get slated in with like when they're getting asked a ton of questions, being interviewed, and I would be slated in the daytime for that. Like, all right, dude. But the shoots were like the same. They were kind of feeling the same to me. So that's why. And I originally wanted like 5 minutes, but I tried to do that to myself. And that seemed like, I thought I forgot the alarm. I'm like, man, it had to be at least like 3.5 minutes. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got to cut this down.
Because we're not used to silence.
Yeah. So I just tried to stare at the camera for it, and it just seemed like forever. So some people say it felt like a long time, like, oh man, that was long. And some people are like, man, that was it. That was the best ever, especially if you're slated in between interviews, because they're like, it's better than the same 3 questions all day, every day on tour.
Yeah.
Dude, there's some of them were really excited about it. Yeah.
It's like a moment of like almost meditation or like respite in between the crazy.
Yeah. Some of them took it out. Some of them just had fun. I'm like, I can do whatever I want. Oh, this is great. Yeah.
That is so cool. So do you only do this with the musicians that you're slated to do, or do you set up separate times to do these 2-minute shoots?
They've all come around. Some of them have asked. I reach out, like if I am like gonna shoot at a show, I'll reach out to their management. Like I'll just try and go through their PR and see if they're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still get like tons of no's or turn that, but I mean, that's just how it is, right? Like,
right.
The blockers or whatever. Which makes sense. So you're not getting so much craziness. But a lot of times musicians, once they see it, they're all in, it's just the other people that don't understand what it is. Like, wait,
right.
And yeah. So I do reach out to ones that I am, or sometimes like I've asked people just after shoot or before shoots. I'm like, hey, I do this. Do you want to do it? And then some of them say yes. Some of them say, it's rare they say no though. Most of them are all in for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of them now. So at first, when I had no examples, that was when it was hard. No examples to show anybody, and then everybody's like, I don't understand this. Like, but then when you can say it and then show a few of them, yeah, that's when it was starting to get a little.
And we're like, okay.
Yeah, this is like, I love this. Yeah.
So what kind of projects do you have coming up? Do you have any? I know like things are so weird right now with quarantine and
No, no. I've been during quarantine. I haven't gotten my website exactly where I want it, but it's gotten me to do a lot that I.
It looks great. You have a great site. So can you tell people what your website is so they can visit it?
Yeah, it's derekbrad.com. Just DEREKBRAD.com.
There we go.
Yeah, just search Derek Brad and it will come up. I don't think there's another one, or he's in prison or something. I don't know.
There are two. There's definitely not you. You're not in jail.
I don't think there's another one. So if you just search Derek Brad, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So.
So yeah, your website is looking great, but do you have anything else in the future, like lined up? Because now that, you know, the vaccine is coming out more, we are starting to slowly see the entertainment industry come back to life, which is, we've all been waiting for it.
Yeah, right now I have things definite, just not dates and stuff. I just have like last year I did a lot of like outside distancing shoots. I worked with this one artist, guitarist, Nick Perry, a lot. He's back in the area and I'm friends with him and we worked before. So he's got some stuff coming up and he's got like more outside shows like scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably be doing a few of those. I have some people want album cover shoots and we do them. We still do them distance, like wear mask and all, except
right.
And yeah, and what else? And last year I did a bunch of like live stream where they would live stream and they'll have like 2 cameramen and then I'll have whatever the venue is, I can shoot wherever I want. So that was different.
Oh, that's cool.
The only one in the crowd. While they're live streaming, they still wanted to document everything, you know, and with nobody there. So it would be like, I was getting angles that I was like, oh, I never got, because it's usually full, you know, like there's
so much more intimate in that setting.
And it was, we were all like tested and wear masks and stuff, except for like the band. Even some of the ones I did, the band would wear them, except for the singers, you know. So it was interesting. It was a different year, And
for sure.
It still feels like it's still going into the same right now. Like we're all getting the feeling maybe by the fall, maybe. It's not. I still kept saying when this was first, after I accepted it all in March, I accepted it all, that I kept saying 2 years, if I can hold on for 2 years, but then it's given me time to do other things that I haven't done.
Absolutely.
Work with people that I wouldn't have done. I mean, there's a lot less of it, but there's still always a need of people who need photos and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that they're, you know, finding you and reaching out to you. And so you're right outside of Philadelphia, close to New York. So you've got access to 2 pretty big hubs for this kind of stuff. So
an hour to get to New York, sometimes 2, depending on the traffic. But I do anything like within 2 hours. I've gone to Baltimore to do stuff a lot. That's why I like this area. Back when Atlantic City had stuff.
R.I.P.
Ghost town. but back when they were doing, I was going there, and that's like 30 minutes away. You know, I'm actually like 10 minutes away from like 3 big venues that are in the area. So
so I have to ask, because it has one of the best sound systems in my opinion. Camden, the venue, I'm forgetting the name of it now. But
now it's BB&T. It's
BB&T.
3 times since
I've been to Dave Matthews there before, which is always a good time. Have you ever shot there?
Oh yeah, that is really close. That is less than 10 minutes away. That is I've been there a lot over the years, and it's changed names, and I've seen festivals there, and where they're in the parking lot, and I mean, I used to attend those there before I so that one's good. I worked for the Man Center for a little bit, and their sound is really nice, maybe even nicer than BB&T.
I don't think I've been to a show there before, but I'll have to check that
out. Like Fairmount Park kind of area, so it's just public transportation doesn't get there. It's definitely a drive, and that's a pretty nice outdoor venue too. probably like nicer. And I don't think it's bigger, but it's nicer than DVD. I feel.
Nice.
Yeah, seeing shows in Fairmount Park. Yeah. So.
Cool. Well, Derek, thank you so much for being here today. And I just so appreciate your story and sharing all of this with us. And, you know, I just wish you the best with the rest of your photography journey. And it's going to be fun to follow along and see where else you go.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So you just started this?
Yeah. So this, it's been an idea for a long time, and we started with a podcast and a YouTube channel maybe about a year ago. And with that, we started just interviewing mostly like TV show people. It started with reality TV. They're a little bit more easy to access, honestly. So we would start like interviewing, like, I don't know, like Vicki Gunvalson from Real Housewives of Orange County, and like ridiculous.
Reality TV, I don't know really. Sometimes I'll photograph somebody and they'll be like, oh, they're on a TV show. And I'm like, they are? No, they're a musician, right? You know. But reality TV, I don't really know anybody from.
Oh, it's a deep dark hole of. You get something.
One, like for a while, there was like a couple years where The Voice were buying pictures from me because I would always shoot opening bands all the time.
Yeah.
Like I would shoot everything. Like it doesn't. If I didn't know, I'd get there early and I would photograph everybody. And opening bands would be like, hey, this guy's got pictures of us, because a lot of people didn't take pictures of opening bands. And they would be on The Voice a lot. So The Voice was always like, hey, finding stuff of mine, and they would always be buying, hey, we need some like pictures to show when we're talking about them. And
oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've interviewed a few people that have been on The Voice too, so it's a whole full circle.
Yeah, the voice for sure. That was, and I wouldn't even know it though. Like they were on The Voice, you know, like
yeah, but it's all these musicians that like are established in their own right. Like, yeah, they didn't win The Voice, but if you look to like these people, like, so I interviewed Katie Colosimo, and she's out of Nashville, and she has like a crazy big following there, but she didn't win The Voice. Who cares, right? So like you putting these pictures out, it's so cool, you know, because everybody does have their own followers.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, and some of the best, for musician wise, I think some of the best ones, like ones that I talked about, like even like I did, and he did my project was, oh my God, why did I just draw a blank? Oh my God. Who won? Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? This is embarrassing. I think he beat Ruben Studdard.
Yeah, Ruben Studdard. Yeah.
But not him. It was the guy that beat, oh my God, what is his name?
Oh wait, is it Taylor?
No,
with the gray hair?
No, he's before him, I think.
Oh gosh.
Why am I forgetting his name? And I know it because he was like such a cool guy. But he
I know who you're talking about, and we're
one of the first ones.
Yeah. Hold on.
And I have him. And he's really funny on his musician project too. Yeah.
I'm looking him up real quick. Clay Aiken.
No.
No.
Oh, no. So it wasn't him. So it wasn't against Ruben then. Oh my God, why am I? It's like Chris something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Chris Allen. Chris Allen. That's his name.
Okay. We made it.
So he does my project, and he was on it. And I do remember him like say, you know, even though, because he was off the label by then, that he had to be on because he won. And I think he made a better life out of it than if he's playing stadiums for a label, then he's doing his own stuff. And then he was like, he sold out like a 600-person venue, I think, that day. And he was like, you know, and just him saying that it's better for me now than it is, you know, like I'm thankful for the fan base where I can do this, and, you know,
right.
I have to play at stadiums, you know, like you can make a living at it now. I think those musicians do better off a lot of times than, you know, I mean, unless if you're massive. But,
right, you're Kelly Clarkson winning American Idol or something.
But that's rare. How many of those come out? Not even many of those. But like, yeah, now you have to be like The Weeknd to be like on a label living it.
Right. The labels, honestly, like I don't want to like offend anybody, but like I know a lot of successful bands that are not signed and aren't even looking to get signed. And
Exactly.
they're paving their own ways and they're successful. And it's like one of my best friends is in a band and they are just like moving up. They played the Troubadour in Cali. Like
Yeah,
they are just doing phenomenal and they're not signed and that's
exactly.
okay.
I think a lot of them, because then they just get everything now. They have to do it all themselves or get a little bit a team around them. But yeah, I respect them more. And it's a shame because a lot of people want to get signed to a label. When I've worked for labels,
Mm-hmm.
and like in New York, I'll go up, and some of them like I'll have a contract where I have to shoot like on like one of their branch offs, of a major label. They'll have tons of branch offs. So if that one
Yeah.
doesn't do good, it doesn't hurt them. So and they'll be like specific to types of music a lot of times,
Uh-huh.
and and they would hire me. They'll be like, all right, we want you to do like 20 this summer, and we'll tell you when you come up. And I will. And it would be, and really what they're trying to do is they only are putting out a song and they need a cover they'll get 20 people, they'll sign them and they'll be so excited that they get signed. I get photos of them. And, but if that song isn't massive, they're done. Like they disappear. And then they can't put out music for whatever their contract. So it's kind of like, and they'll try 20 for maybe one. And that sometimes I've never even seen. So there's a lot of people, pictures. I hope they all are successful. It'll help me out. Like, hey, but there's some years where it would be that I've gotten where it's like, I've seen them put the song and use a picture of mine, to try and promote it. But, then they're gone. Then they're not anything. So it's a shame that.
You kind of get locked into the label.
And you don't get a chance anymore. Back in the 80s, I think people were putting out like every song. People would have bad albums and then they would have a successful album,
Yeah.
Now it's like,
and then you go back and you look years later and you're like, oh gosh, that was our first track, and you laugh about it, right?
Yeah, now they put out a song. If it's not good, a label is gone. But if they're doing it personally, you can put out songs all the time on whatever, TikTok or whatever. And then if that song takes off, then that helps you out.
Yep.
That's what I say. If they put out a lot of music now, they can just do themselves. I say put out as much as you want. Like
just like what you're doing. Just do it as much as you can. Send those pictures to Rolling Stone every day.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that. I would send pictures to different outlets that I think could use them, guitar company, whoever. And back then I was posting everything online, and I would have photographers. I had a guy, he was older than me, and he was trying to take me under the wing, but we used to disagree because he'd be like, people are going to steal your stuff, which is true. People are taking the stuff all the time and then post. Mm-hmm. Even when I watermarked it, I even stopped doing that because they would just edit it out and then put their own over it or something like that. So, whatever, like, what am I going to do? Attack a bunch of, it's usually younger. I was always looking to get the next job, not to go after them. But I was always like posting all the time. I wouldn't post every single shot from it. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, that one's really great. I'm going to keep that for me. That's kind of how I pay myself. Sometimes like that one, maybe that would come out like 20 years later.
Yeah.
So, but I would post photo sets of like lots of live shows or photo shoots. And everybody was always saying back when the internet was starting and Twitter was huge for me when it started. Like I would post there. If a band would see it, like an opening band would see it and share it, my website then like 100,000 people, like easy. Like Twitter was like amazing when now it's just so much.
It's so inundated.
Everything's like that now. Everything. And then Instagram was kind of like that when it first started. It was just photographers on it, and then if somebody would happen to share or mention your photo, then it would blow up. And then whenever it gets bigger and bigger, it's less and less. Views for everything, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. So I wanted to, again, just say thank you so much, Derek. And I really, truly wish you the best of luck. And I'm so stoked that we got to chat.
Yeah, I probably rambled a lot, so.
No, stop. This was fun. I mean, let's do it again.
Okay, for sure.
All right, well, it's so nice to meet you, and I so appreciate you being here, and I'll keep you in the loop with everything, and
for sure.
We appreciate you.
All right,
I'll send you a message. All right, bye.
Bye.
So much love in this.